Here are 10 skills every man needs to know in 2026. Number 10, try to learn as quick as possible. Now that sounds pretty straightforward. Everyone wants to learn things quickly. But here's the thing. It's super important to get your brain to that point where you're actually learning things quick. Because when you're learning a new skill or you're starting a new business, sometimes people's biggest struggle is that learning curve and how long it takes them to actually get a hang of something. So that's the first thing I'll tell you. Whether that's reading books, whether that's practicing, whether that's speaking to a camera, whatever it is, you got to make sure you get as good at it as fast as possible so that you could actually build that skill of retaining things quickly. Number 9, the skill of networking. Now, the reason why I'm not telling you the skill of socialization is because networking is a lot more important than socialization. Anyone, or at least most people who have a bit of confidence, can talk to people. But networking is a little deeper than that. It's not only just talking to people, but kind of finding opportunities in those conversations where they're not just being wasted and they're not just being thrown out anywhere. You know, you're talking to someone about a business. They have a business as well. You're out in a marketing agency. You want to market for his company. You got to be able to network like that. Emotional control. Life's always going to have ups and downs, but it's super important for you to kind of be able to control your emotions. That's why you hear people on social media for years talking about taking ashwagandha, doing things like these where they can kind of keep themselves level. But honestly, the best way I think you do that is kind of by just doing as much as possible in life, where sometimes it does become overbearing, but you just got to learn that skill of actually being able to maintain it. And not only actually being able to maintain it, but being able to kind of control your emotions, not let your emotions control you. Number 7, now a lot of people struggle with this, time management. Make sure you're tracking what you're doing on a day-to-day span. Make sure you know what time you're waking up, make sure you're sleeping on time consistently, and make sure you know what you're doing throughout your day. And you wake up, you brush your teeth, you eat breakfast, you go to work. You don't wake up, start doom scrolling, get out of bed, take your time in the shower, get out, eat your breakfast while watching TV. You know, those are the things that'll slow you down in life. You got to make sure that you have as much time management as possible. If you have a list of things to do in your day, you got to get all those things done. And if you don't get them done, you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, why didn't you get them done? Negotiation. Now, this is going to tie back to another thing that's going to come up later. But in life, you're going to have a lot of scenarios where things are not going to be going your way. So a really important skill to have is that skill of negotiating. You know, a lot of people, they just shy away at things. I've had friends in the past where we've gone to places and I've been negotiating with maybe like on a price or something. And they're like, chill, man. It's not that big of a deal. It's okay. We'll just pay the normal price, because they're scared of that embarrassment. They don't want to talk. They don't want to confront people. But you need to have that skill, especially as a man. You got to be able to negotiate your way out of things. You got to be able to negotiate to get your own way, because in life, it's a fight. You know, people are all fighting for their piece of meat, and you want to be the one who actually gets it. Number 5, now this ties back to me personally, marketing. Now, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you got to know how to market your brand. You have a marketing agency. Obviously, you need the skill to market for other brands. Marketing is really important. Even think your market, you go to a job, you're presenting yourself well. You're marketing yourself to that company. And I know that's a little cheesy of a comparison, but it's true. You got to be able to kind of market yourself, and you be able to market everything around you, and you got to be able to just have that skill of marketing, because the more you learn people's pains and learn how to attract it, it helps you in your lifetime, especially if you do content creation, especially if you do content creation, whether you have a personal brand, whether you have a business, whether you're running ads, it doesn't matter. These are just a couple of points that are really beneficial, especially if you know the skill of marketing. Number 4, financial literacy. You have to be able to budget. I know so many people who have wasted so much money and they didn't invest properly, or they wasted a lot of money. They don't track how much they're making and how much they're spending in the month. And I know some people, they're all like, I want to get so rich that it doesn't matter. Or I'm going to get so rich, I'm going to get a good accountant. He'll do all that for me. That's true. But in the time being, if you can't have a good amount of financial literacy, then you're not going to really go anywhere in life. And that doesn't just relate to budgeting. That can relate to your taxes. That can relate to your investments. That can relate to a bunch of different things. So yeah, you got to keep that in mind, especially as a man. Number 3, fitness. Now, of course, I'm going to be the one who's telling you guys to do this because it's a huge part of my life, and I think it should be a huge part of everyone else's life as well. Whether you're playing tennis every day or you're going to the gym 6 times a week, it doesn't matter. You need some sort of fitness in your life, and it needs to be consistent. Box. I love boxing. Boxing or any sort of martial art is beautiful because it not only builds your body, but it builds your mind. It builds that fortitude. It makes you think, I don't want to stop. It gives you that like passion where I don't think any other sport provides you with, especially as a man in 2026. But any sort of fitness is great. Soccer, you're getting your cardio in, you're getting fit. Tennis, it just has to be consistent. You have to go to the gym, you have to stay strong, and you just gotta stay fit. It helps with your energy, it helps with your confidence, it helps with your discipline, it just helps with everything in general. Now, communications. especially in this generation where everyone is chronically online. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to talk to a camera. You need to be able to speak clearly. You need to be able to listen to people. You need to be able to understand everything that's around you, and you got to make sure that whatever you're putting out there is helpful and it's got to be right. Because I know so many people, especially in this generation, where I'll tell them something and then a couple days later they don't remember that at all. And that's a part of communication, because not only can they not communicate properly, but they can't receive communication properly either. And it's a huge issue because people are always doom scrolling, so their brains are just rotting. Number one, now this ties back to most of the points I was making earlier, and that is sales. Sales is the most important skill you can have in your life as a man in 2026. Anywhere you go, you sell yourself to people. You have a job interview, you're selling yourself. You go to a new school, you're selling yourself to people. Everything you do is always selling yourself. Whether you're selling a product, whether you're a salesperson, whether you own a business, whether you have a job, you're always going to be selling something. So having that skill of sales is super important, especially in this day and age where people don't know what they're doing. And if you're a politician, you're a lawyer, you're trying to convince people, if you have that skill of sales, it'll always be easier to convince people on your points. You're in a group argument, you have sales skills, you can convince them to win the argument. Now, I don't want you to be a bad guy and think of this in a negative way, where it's like, I'm going to manipulate everyone because my sales skills are so good. But no, it's that skill where it's kind of in your head and you know what you're doing. And yeah, you use it to your benefit, you use it to your advantage. Now, if I can challenge you guys to anything, try to master at least 3 of these skills and see where you are in life and how things have changed. Now, if you think there's any other things that you need as a man in 2026, comment them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.